Richard, in the network we've been talking a fair bit about the idea of mother-daughter church planting, but recently you've been developing an idea for another model. Could you describe that for us?
Yeah, look, we've been thinking about this in the Presbyterian Church of Victoria because few of our churches are large enough to be a mother church, and the reality is we can see a lot of places we need to be planting churches. So we're thinking, well, how do we do this? And so one of the ideas is that perhaps 3 or 4 churches within a presbytery could pool resources, perhaps give $10,000 a year for a couple of years each. Give some people and perhaps a couple of elders to help them get started, a few families each. Maybe one of those churches needs to be the main provider of a core team, but together do something that none of the churches individually would have any chance of doing. And I think this has got real potential.
Richard, are you aware of particular problems that might arise?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I think when we think about in Melbourne North, I don't think any of us would quite feel like we're ready or able to do it, but I think it's possible. So we think about a nearby suburb to us at Donnybrook. We can see the need to plant there in a couple of years. We're not sure that any of us can do it. I think it still requires some leadership, and it will require at least one of us to step up and say, well, we'll drive this and gather the others, but unless someone drives it, it will fall in the gap in the middle. So I think someone's going to have to take that initiative up and try and see it happen. But yeah, I think it's realistic. I think the other concern is the DNA. So if you've got a couple of different churches, if they have a different DNA, you're going to bring people in who have very different expectations, and that could undermine things. They might just have a totally different way of structuring the way the church works, or their view of music or children's ministry, or a range of different things of how to do mission, for example. So there's going to have to be a number of conversations about that, and we're going to have to find the right person, the right planter, who's able to work with that group of churches and have a similar DNA again, so that those things can come together. Otherwise, yeah, the initial enthusiasm, I think, could drop away quite quickly if those things aren't resolved and honestly talked about.
You've discussed some of the advantages, like finances, getting the seed funding together, but what might some of the other advantages be?
I think if you've got people praying, so if the local churches are praying for it, showing an interest in it, giving the cash. In the Presbyterian system, we need to have a certain number of elders in order for a church to operate. When you're starting, you may not have those people. The mother church network could provide a couple of those elders in a way that perhaps one mother church wouldn't be able to do. So there's those sorts of things I think would be, and I think the mother churches would actually be greatly encouraged, because they could say, well, we're not that big a church, but we helped plant a church. How good was that? We're excited. We've been part of this. We're going to keep praying for this.
It sounds like there's even an opportunity to do cultural change across a number of churches at once.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important, because it's so often the case that some of our churches feel like church planting, that's for someone else, or we'd love to support it, but we're not in that place. And to say, yeah, we're part of a mother church network. We're doing this. The gospel's going ahead in our area because of some initiatives we've taken.
Richard, thanks very much for your time.